My name is Johnny Murphy. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm affiliated with All of Us and None of Us. I was just recently incarcerated, and I was incarcerated for 3 years when the pandemic first started, and it was horrible. And I understand that it was a new pandemic, but even when they came down with the guidelines from the CDC, people were still kind of slow to get up to speed, and our lives were really at risk. I was in a house correction, which is in Franklin, in Milwaukee, and even when they came up with the social distancing, they still wasn't allowing us to social distance. If they mandated 6 feet and wear masks and all that, we didn't have that. It was 40, 50 people all in one big warehouse that you could really just touch the next person that's sleeping next to you. I was one of the first 10 to catch COVID in Milwaukee County House of Correction, and it was a terrible experience. My experience personally was I knew I wasn't feeling right. I knew something was wrong with my body, and I contacted the medical staff at the House of Correction, and I'm like, hey, I'm not feeling well. They was like, well, fill out a sick call. I'm like, this is something wrong. I'm waking up in cold sweats. I know I got a temperature. So after constantly bickering and getting and complaining, they finally took my temperature and it was 107. So when they realized my temperature was that high, they put me in a place that's called Ocean 2 for medical observation. Well, while I'm down there, I'm thinking I'll see a provider or a doctor and they'll get to the meat of the problem. It didn't happen like that. The next day, they released me without seeing a doctor, without doing any physical checkup, back into general population. So once I come back to the dorm that I contracted this COVID from, I see the whole dorm is coughing, sneezing, wearing T-shirts, ripped up pants legs as masks. People wearing gloves because they provided us with nothing. And I'm like, whoa, this ain't right. They realized that I had COVID-19. So one of their protocols, I guess, was to separate us. So my thing is this: if I wouldn't have complained constantly, you left me back out there into general population to possibly affect the other people without knowing their prehistorical medical conditions, not knowing who, come from a long line of asthma or chronic. It was just real bad. It was just real bad. So when they separated us and put us in this dorm, I guess the run time for it to run through its course was 14 days. So we shivering and shaking, and all they was giving us was Gatorade. I'm like, it's got to be something else. We coughing, my oxygen level keep it fluctuating. So after 7 to 8 days, they released me again without waiting the 14 days, and possibly exposing me to more harm, or possibly exposing other people to more harm when they not knowing the outcome or the seriousness of this COVID. So when they came back and said, you still tested positive, now I got to go back to Ocean 2, back to the whole quarantine process where we couldn't shower, we couldn't have no contact with nobody. It was just a horrible experience. And my thing was, they was like, well, we're under WellPath. That's a private entity. It has nothing to do with the jail. So I'm like, well, you telling me a private entity can make the decision that can possibly cost people their lives. So it just wasn't about the pandemic. It was the malpractice and the bad decision making when it comes to people's lives. And it's like, for y'all to be professionals and y'all not even adhering to the CDC, which y'all claimed that y'all supposed to be a part of, it was just horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible. And there was so many people. Some people had to go out there in ambulances. Some people was really getting ill on it. And me personally, it affected me hard because my sister passed away from COVID-19. So, it was like one of those things that, how am I in your custody, under your guidance, under your so-called protection, and you say I have rights? So according to the inmate rights, you say I'm free from abuse and mass corporal punishment and diseases and sickness and all that. Well, how are you not violating the only little rights that I do got if you say I'm supposed to be protected from that and supposed to get 3 meals and a cot and all the other stuff? Well, how you not? We didn't bring it. I've been there 3 years. So the people in the inmates is not bringing it in there. So that means the people that you have employed, whether it be the food workers or the CO, the correctional officers, one of them had to bring this into your facility. So instead of you making non-contact or making sure that we were safe, which should have been your top priority since you're getting so much funding for us anyway, you dropped the ball. You dropped the ball, and it could have cost a lot of people their lives. And it's like, how do you remedy that? Like, I don't know. I'm just glad that I made it And I know it's a lot of people that didn't make it, and my condolences go out to them. Never lose faith, and in anything in life is worth having, is worth fighting for. And if your freedom mean that much to you, keep fighting. No matter what the obstacles is, just keep your faith in a higher power. Stay doing what you need to do. Stay focused, and just know God ain't gonna give you no more than you can't handle. So that'll be my message to all you brothers that's locked up. Keep fighting. Never stop fighting. Never let them take your will to survive and believe what you feel is the truth. Don't just lay down and let them do whatever they want to do. Stand up. And if you don't know, reach out. All of us and none of us is a powerful entity that will help you. I bear witness to it. There's some good people out here. You just got to reach out and network. And that's my message to y'all.